Hello and welcome to the second installment of this podcast. My name is Rob, and today's episode is called Scapegoat Scapegoat Scapegoat. We have just witnessed Tottenham Hotspur lose 2-0 to Aston Villa in an incredibly uninspiring performance. Antonio Conte's team showed no desire to win. We looked out of form, out of shape, out of sorts, and out of the competition entirely. We have just fallen out of the top four, and the fan base has been divided in two. Essentially, there are those who are Conte in or Conte out, and there are those who are ENIC in, ENIC out. A plethora of different viewpoints on the same ongoing topic. I myself am Conte in and ENIC out. And I've come with receipts. I've came prepared today. And I will tell you why, specifically why. So just here I have written a list of all of the crimes, all of the mishaps and misfortunes of ENIC. We went 500 days without signing a player. We've had a countless number of flops with the likes of Roberto Soldado, Vincent Janssen, Benjamin Stambouli, Nasser Chadli, Tanguy Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso, Clinton Ng, George Nkudu, and Jack Clark, etc., etc., etc. This is tip of the iceberg stuff. We are also the team, one of the teams that furloughed our staff during COVID. We're also one of the teams who stayed within the Super League and were very reluctant to leave. We are also one of the teams that coined the term legacy fans, stating that there is an importance in finding new, travelling fans, showing a disregard for those who care about the club and its history. We have witnessed a manager merry-go-round, year in, year out. And for me, this merry-go-round is exactly part of the problem. Scapegoat after scapegoat, Pochettino, Nuno, Jose Mourinho, Ryan Mason, Harry Redknapp, AVB. The second the team is under scrutiny or judgment or ENIC start getting fingers pointed at them, they're like, okay, it's time to change. We're not going to change, but we can definitely change the manager. We've had no sufficient backup for Kane for years. We've gone long stints with having Kane as a sole striker, having to play him week in, week out, non-stop. The man is a machine. We have the very, very bad habit of keeping underperforming players and, for some reason, offering them new contracts. Levy also has the habit of burning bridges with managers, directors of football, agents, and players. Players such as Paulo Dybala, Bruno Fernandes, and Luis Diaz. They keep telling us they have no money to spend, yet the club grows in stature year in, year out. Financial reports come back, and they're essentially flaunted to say that our commercial revenue and our commercial success has grown. We've also had a scattergun approach to transfers under Steve Hitchen. There was no cohesive direction in which our club was going. We would sign players that were young, unproven, low cost, bargain bin dipping, and expecting these players to grow and blow up miraculously. We've been flip-flopping between managerial directions. We would go from free-flowing attacking football to hyper-defensive, pragmatic Jose or Conte ball. We had one of the longest managerial searches I have ever seen. And then at the end of it, we ended with Nuno. We fired Poch when he asked for backing before his Champions League run. This is precisely the thing that we need to be careful of with this ownership. The fact that they have settled and fourth is good enough. Top four finish. That's Champions League money. But we're not going to get very far in it, are we? And then we fired Jose a week before a final. If winning something really mattered, we would have kept him. Kept that squad harmony. Instead, we brought in Ryan Mason, who is an inexperienced, he's a talented young manager / coach, but this is far above his pay grade, far above anyone's pay grade to come in a week before a final and expect to perform. No chance. And after all of that, we still pay the highest ticket prices in Europe. For what? For absolutely what? And even I have heard from other fans, I have heard from the media as a whole, that they have said, well, Conte has been backed. He was given 150 million in the summer, coming out of their pockets. That is a quote, coming out of the owner's pockets. No, it is not. That money wasn't even an investment for on the pitch. It was essentially a loan to themselves, buying shares within their own business, increasing their return, increasing their stranglehold and percentage within Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. That's not a gift. That's an interest-free loan with many years to profit upon. That's an investment in themselves. And yet it is prefaced as a cash injection. That's a cash transfer. So even when we need the support, when we need investment on the pitch, investment in success, which in return brings commercial revenue, it has to be done in a way which is fiddling with the books. Because the board do not want anything to affect their own pockets. Sure, why would they? They just want to increase their percentage within the club. So I am staunchly Conte in. Because what are we going to do? We're going to replace him? With who? With who? If we brought Pep Guardiola, for example, into our team and say, you do you, and we're going to keep being us, he would not get very far. He is a manager who demands support. He's a manager who demands quality and the optimum circumstances and environment to grow. And Conte is the exact same. He is cut from the same cloth. Conte did not lie to us before he signed. Conte seemed even hesitant, and understandably so. I believe there have been false promises given to him. I believe there has been a rift. And I do not see a way that we can just keep replacing managers when the managers have not been the problem. Managers sometimes haven't done themselves favors, but the managers have not been the sole problem within this club. The owners keep replacing managers and pointing fingers at them, hoping that us as a fan base will turn against our style of play. Are this, that, the other? When really, it's a systemic issue. Managers come into squads with old, outdated, underperforming players that should have been shipped off a long time ago. Why does Mr. Daniel Levy feel the need to get his grubby fingers involved in every single transfer dealing? That's not your job. You're a chairman Sit on a chair. Your job is to deal with the business side of things. Your job is to represent this club. And also, one part of the job which Levy is not doing is being the face of the business, being the face of the club, addressing fans, addressing issues publicly. Instead, he hides behind a veil of privacy, security, in a shroud of darkness and mystery, only to come out once a year, once every 2 or 3 years, to have a short, incredibly scripted interview. That doesn't help his case in the slightest. This will sound very controversial, but we do not deserve top 4. For us to overperform is literally just a way for the ownership to point and say, look, our business practices are working. This football club is doing okay. We got 4th place. We don't need to change anything. So I'm sorry to say this, but I hope we fall down the table in dramatic fashion. We as fans do not deserve it. We deserve the most. We are one of the most loyal, passionate fan bases there is. We are such a historic, beautiful club with a great ethos and a wonderful history to look back upon. But that's all we are. History. We need a year of complete capitulation, and we need to suck it up as a fan base and stick together, united. But you know who doesn't deserve top 4? The owners. I want this to get messy as hell. So messy that something has to change. We should have 1 year of horrible, embarrassing pain for the owners to say, okay, I think we're out of our depth. Because they've been getting by. We have been subject to footballing purgatory for the past 22 years, on the cusp of 5th, 4th, 7th place finishes, sometimes even 2nd and 3rd place finishes. We're an almost club because we're almost backed. We're almost there. And that's fine to endure for a while, if there is an upward trajectory of growth and support. But there isn't. This is a trajectory of stagnation, completely flatlined, if not regressive. We're going backwards. This is a cannibalistic way of working. It eats itself. We still have Davies, Dyer, Sanchez. This is going to sound crazy. I love Harry Kane, but we still have Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. They are players that need to be built around. Yet now they're coming into their early 30s and haven't won a single thing. I feel so bad for them. And for a club also to break a gentleman's agreement with a player who I didn't want Harry Kane to go. But that just says so much about the ownership structure. Mr. Kane, we are so reliant upon you that we're going to keep you here essentially against your will. Why did he want to go in the first place? Why did he have this gentleman's agreement in the first place? Why are the players so outward about the lack of investment and growth within this club? It's not to do with the managers. And if you were Conte out, I completely understand your point of view. I'm not going to talk down. I'm not going to say you're wrong. I agree with you to a degree. But for what's best for this football club is to keep him around. He is going to make this so messy and horrible. It's very obvious that he can't say what's on his mind, because there are obviously defamation clauses within his contract. Even if you work for a garage or some sort of large corporation, even as a standard employee, you can't work against the company. You just can't. So he's got a lot of money on the line, and we would all be in a difficult situation. I don't think any of us would even have the balls to be as passive-aggressive as he's been. Conte is a highlighter, underlying everything that's wrong with this business, with this media empire. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, potential NFL franchisee, movable stadium, like the grass moves, longest bar in England, most expensive ticket prices in Europe, hosting boxing events, Guns N' Roses, some of the largest events. And for what? Cinemas, golf clubs, property developments. For what? The football club comes first and foremost. We are a football club. We don't buy the shirts because we like how they look. We don't pay high ticket prices because it's just a day out. No. These are things that have sentimental, emotional value to us. We are connected to the club. We are not customers. We are fans. Fanatical. We are being taken for a ride year in, year out. So after I read out that huge long list of crimes by ENIC and mistakes, I'm not going to vilify or be upset with anyone who's still ENIC in, but I need to say, take a hard look at yourself if you are ENIC in. And please, try give yourself some sort of logical answer as to why you are. Because I don't think you can really find it. Success off the pitch is great. And money is an integral part of keeping a football club afloat. But it's not the be-all and end-all. We are essentially, at the end of the day, an investment fund. We need these guys gone. Not because they don't give enough money, which they don't. Not because they don't care, because in a weird, twisted way, I think they do. But they care about the wrong things. And when they do spend money, it's in the wrong areas. It's in the wrong places. It's on the wrong people, on the wrong personnel. And they make excuses time and time and time again. We've been putting up with this for too long. Excuse enough to get rid of them is one trophy, 22 long years. My whole time supporting Tottenham Hotspur. And it took me about 7 years to be Levy out and ENIC out. Let's say Levy loses his job, but ENIC stay. They are just going to find another puppet, another mouthpiece to do his work. That's it. We need this place to sell up, pack up your stuff, put your photo frames into your little cardboard box, and go. Take over another club, suck the blood out of them, do whatever the hell you gotta do. Vampiristic tactics, I don't know what their goal is. But we can't stand for this as a fan base. We just can't. 150 million. 150 million. Investment back into themselves and then posing it as a gift. No. It's supposed to be a necessary investment. Everything is just fiddling with the books. We gotta sell before we buy players. No, we're gonna do something different now. We're gonna buy young and sell them when their value's high. Sell them to the big boys. Nah, man. Nah, I can't do it. I can't do it. This club has settled. Top 4 is good enough. You get what you pay for. So, my final point, and I've done this all in one take, hopefully there's not too many mistakes. My final point is that I hope, just to reiterate, I hope we fail this year. The owners don't deserve any success. If we get any quote-unquote successes, any top 4 finishes, if we do anything that's good enough, it just validates what they are doing. They are not running this club for the fans. They are not running this club for our interests. They wouldn't have gone for the Super League. They wouldn't have called us legacy fans. They wouldn't have furloughed the staff. They wouldn't have put us through the manager merry-go-round. We have a squad scattered with players who just shouldn't be here. And they're not the only ones who shouldn't be here. ENIC out, Conte in. I want this to be messy as hell. And Conte will make it so. Thank you very much for listening to my my short podcast, 20 minutes. Please go and subscribe to the Irish Hotspur if you hadn't already. And yeah, if you've got any points, if you're Conte in, Conte out, ENIC in, ENIC out, please let me know. And once again, I don't mind what you believe. These are just my points. And the only thing I need to say is if you are ENIC in, just think about it. Just think about it. Don't be apologetic. Don't be an apologist. Really take a look at what they've done. 1 trophy, 22 years. Enough said. Enough said. Take care. Bye-bye.